Celso here with the Zip Line. I've got a really special guest. For the last really 6 months, we've had nothing but technology companies come on and talk about their new products, what they're doing to go to market, what differentiates them in the marketplace. And really a lot of those companies have been post-revenue, pre-revenue, funding, all the different levels that technology companies are at. And what we decided to do is really bring a subject matter expert on the show today. We have Ed Mysogland with Indiana Business Resource. Ed is not only a business broker, but a valuation expert. And I really wanted to kind of, come at this a different way on the show and talk about how do we value the source code? How do we value the blood, sweat, and tears? How do we value the 2 or 3 lighthouse clients that we have? And what should we be thinking about as we not only raise up our client base, but raise capital for our company, raise the technology and code base that we're trying to get out there. So Ed, give us a little bit of background on, what makes you an expert, what you've done to get here, and then what your company does.
Sure. Well, Tony, as always, it's great to be with you. As far as our firm, Indiana Business Resource, we're the largest business brokerage firm in the Midwest. We are certainly by size of companies that we work with, as well as the types of companies, just the sheer volume. Is right. From my end. Aside from being the managing partner, I am an appraiser by trade. I've been designated by the credentialing bodies of business valuation, and like I said, for the last 20 years, my area of expertise is anybody that's interested in buying or selling in that valuation space. That's what I do for the within the sales process itself.
And not only do you have 20 years, but within your firm, there's almost 200 years of experience in valuating companies. And if you throw Larry in there, I think he's been valuing companies since they were buggy whips, right?
Right. Well, when dirt was new, he was out peddling businesses, but he does his best to steer clear of valuations. That's not nearly as exciting as facilitating the sale.
Right. So really, knowing what's going on in this Indiana market, I mean, as late as a week ago, I've heard and watched experts in the technology space tweet out that Indianapolis specifically is becoming this healthcare Silicon Valley, if you will. And just pulled up a breaking news in the IBJ this morning and watched a San Francisco-based company put an office here with 300 technology jobs. This technology space has really taken off. How do you get your hands around and evaluate a technology company?
Well, unfortunately or fortunately, there are so many moving parts with a technology firm, and for us to facilitate any kind of sale, I mean, let's just put value aside. Right. It's a matter of what is the asset that's going to be conveyed during the sale. Is it proprietary code? Is it people? Is it contracts? Is it a combination of everything? Right. That's the real crux of it. Now, I don't know if that really necessarily answers your question, but from a valuation standpoint, that's what we're going for. Is how, is it a break-fix shop? Is it a shop that has contracts in place that we can look out into the future and forecast what our revenue base is going to be? Can we look at who the ideal acquirers will be, so the 1 + 1 = 3 concept actually comes to fruition. Right. So the technology space, as you can imagine, I mean, you're in it. Right. There's a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of changing data, which either detracts or adds to value.
So I think Ed, I think you actually hit the nail on the head. And what is so important for these guys to understand is there is no hard, fast rule, right? It depends on the model that you're in. SaaS is going to evaluate different than services, right?
Right.
Client base and the value of your clients are really going to change your value. How much of a head start you have in your code base to your nearest competitor is going to change your value. And you guys really help understand all those factors to give somebody that unbiased secondary opinion, right?
Right. And within everything you cited, there are different levels you still have to consider.
Right.
It's not how many clients do you have, it's the quality of your clients, and the how your receivables are collected.
Right.
Are you being strung out for 6 months for your money?
Right.
What's the likelihood that client is going to be there 6, 12, 18 months from now? Those are all, there are sub-levels of each item you just listed that go into the moving parts equation.
So here's a good example, and there's two. I'll give you the tale of two cities, or two companies actually better. Here's a company that has no customers, that has been funded through government grants for 10 years, built literally millions of dollars of code base and software, right? Hardware, software solution. And every funding agent that they've talked to has said that they're not worth anything because they don't have clients. Yet, personally, my feeling is, and what I've seen and what's going on in the Valley, those are the kind of clients that get funded all the time. In New York and in LA or in the Valley, those are the ones that get the head start in code is what they're looking for. They are not worried about the market base. So I even think where you're at regionally has an effect on, or where you're looking for buyers, so to speak, is affecting to that 1 + 1 = 3 kind of concept. Would that be fair?
Well, yeah, it would be fair, but ultimately, value is the present value of future earnings. And so someone has to buy into what kind of earnings is that code going to create down the road. Right. Therein lies valuation. And as far as getting funding, that's the key to the equation, that someone actually buys into the forecast that you're making.
Right. So really, when it comes down to it, is it about how well you know what you're going to do to monetize what you have, and how well you can communicate that? Are those some of the factors, whether or not you actually have proof of concept on the other end?
Well, both. I think I believe that from a monetize, how are you going to monetize this? Yep. I think going into business, you should probably have a pretty good idea of how you're going to monetize this, or you're not going to be there that often. As far as the salesmanship, anytime you're seeking funding, investors are looking for leadership and vision and all those other intangibles before writing the check's the easy part. Right. It's buying into the concept is really where it all intersects together.
Right. So you're buying future earnings. You're buying the unfair competitive advantage that this code base or this service offering or the client base is apparently giving that company. But in the end, are you really here telling us that these technology companies have the same problems as every other company, that they got to have good leadership, they got to have vision, they got to know what they're going and understand, and the people that are investing got to believe that they can execute?
That's a good way to put it. The difference between tech firms and manufacturing and service and other service firms is the moving parts, and like I said, just the different layers and the complexities of those layers. There's a lot that goes into, well, in technology, there's just a lot of moving parts that you have to get your arms around in order to maximize the value, especially when you're going to sale.
So if you're a CEO and you're looking and truly trying to understand where the heck you're at with your company, where your value lies, I think you're not going to have a fun conversation necessarily talking to Ed, but you are going to get candor, and you are going to get honesty, and you are going to get a good second set of eyes that's going to tell you, what you need to do to increase value. And really, that's your job. Is really the mission of your organization is making sure people get the value that they deserve and helping them get to that end. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. And unfortunately, there's a lot of times, if people get out early enough and they can understand where they're at on the value continuum, that that there are things that if they need X number of dollars to exit effectively in their mind, then what do they have to do in order to achieve X? And I think planning the exit strategy early enough, I think you're well ahead of the game. The times where people are disappointed in some of my findings are often when, hey, it's a great time to sell. Let's go call Ed.
Yeah.
Well, you've already made the commitment to sell now. Now there's little you can do other than go back to the drawing board, and we'll revisit this in a couple of years.
Right. So start early, get with Ed, get that second set of eyes on there. Ed, hey, you've been zipped. I appreciate you being on.